Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I know it's been a long time, but life just be lifing. I would like to try to come back more regularly, but here we are just to kick off another podcast. I just felt like getting back into it. And today, since it's been like a few years since the last podcast, I thought it would be a lot of fun to bring on Lindsay. You don't know Lindsay. Hi, Lindsay. Lindsay Barrack is not only my best friend, but she is an entrepreneur in the horse industry. She runs her own boarding stable. She's been eventing since the dawn of time. I'm just kidding, you're not old since for a long time. A trainer, a barn manager. What else?
Circus entrepreneur.
I brought her on today because although I wanted to start with talking about her running a boarding stable and the eventing world, I thought, oh my gosh, since I haven't done a podcast in at least a year, maybe two, we should just get right into running away with the circus because in 2019, when I signed up to be a troop leader on a traveling dirt show, I brought Lindsay with me, and that was her first experience of going on a tour with a circus. So I thought I would bring her so she could speak about her experience. Lindsay.
That it was an experience.
So give us the lowdown. What were you expecting? What was it like when I asked you to come with me? You hadn't really
Well,
thought before that.
um, I think my expectations versus reality were on two completely different planets to start. I didn't really know 100% what to expect, but I think I was a little bit I don't even know how to put it into words, but I definitely was expecting glitz and glamour and celebrity treatment and status, and that was not what it was. It was a lot of fun. No regrets for sure. And um and it was an experience. That is a great word for it. So
Well,
it was a lot of work. A lot of work.
let me
Uh,
tell everybody really quick, I guess, how I met you and how I got into this and then how I dragged you through this. So
okay.
a lot of my listeners or my students are taking trick riding lessons and they're into circus arts. So I started equestrian dinner theater in 2011 into 2012. And in 2014, I met Lindsay. One of the girls that I worked with stopped at Lindsay's farm, which is in Tallahassee, Florida, to overnight. They, were in communication and talked about what we were doing. And Lindsay said, hey, why don't you and your troop come up here and do a clinic? So I was one of those who came with from Sarasota up to Tallahassee, and we did a trick riding clinic at Lindsay's farm. Lindsay participated in the clinic, did really well. I come from a little bit of an eventing background. That's what Lindsay's specialty is. So we got along well. And then soon after that, I was coming up for summer camps and clinics kind of all the time. And we sparked our friendship. So and I was on the road working various circuses. The one thing that Lindsay just mentioned is that it was a lot of work and she was expecting glitz and glamour. That all depends on the show. So I've worked shows where, like, it's Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. It was pretty good. I mean, animal people on the shows are pretty much in charge of their own animals. So cleaning the stalls. And I honestly wouldn't have it any other way because then I can control when the horses are getting fed, what they're eating. Hear a bit. I've worked some shows with other troops where I woke up in the morning using my own horse and they were like, oh, grain's done, stall's done. And I had my own grain, so they just gave my horse kind of random grain, and luckily he was fine. But That doesn't necessarily usually happen, but most shows you're not doing the tent and everything like that. But the show that we signed up to do in 2019 is called a dirt show because it was on dirt lots and literally the tent goes up. You work the weekend or the week or whatever, and then the tent goes down and it moves. And in this specific show, it was a family show. So the cast was the crew. So when Lindsay says it was a lot of work, that's kind of where we're going with that. And the reason we started on a tent show is because it was our new troop. It was the first time that I was a troop leader. I had to buy a trailer that we could all live in. And on those dirt shows, everything provided by us, not the show. So we had to man putting together and transporting our own stabling for all the horses, our own housing for ourselves. And that's not always like that. It really depends on the gig. Sometimes the trailers are provided, sometimes apartments are provided, sometimes hotels are provided at some shows I've even worked. But this one we were completely on our own. So it was rough. So why don't you talk about how that kind of kicked off reality check when you got there to go set up a circus tent?
Well, I guess we'll just start at the beginning. Yeah, we started in how I can only describe as the middle of nowhere, Indiana,
It
in
was a park. It was
in
some,
the back of an RV park.
we probably had the best crowds there though on the first
Yeah,
day.
it was the dog park portion of the campground. And they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you don't have any access to electricity back there." We're like, "Sweet." It was the hottest. It was June or July.
And it was 114 degrees with the heat in.
114 degrees. The people in Indiana were like, "We don't even know what to do. It's never been this hot." There was like warnings on the radio that were like elderly people cannot even leave their homes. And here we are in the middle of this grass field in the back of a trailer park.
Under the Taco Bell billboard.
Oh yeah, under a Taco Bell billboard. And PS, you have no power. We were like, super cool. So starting with, let's put the tent up, the giant circus tent, all the gondolas and things that poles that go up high, and it's 114 degrees, and they hire like extra side helper people like off of Craigslist, and you never know what you're going to get. And so it's super, super hot. You've got a half a dozen people on the grounds that don't even speak any English, which was fun. They were super nice though, but fun. And we're trying to figure out how to set this thing up with people that have never done anything like it before, and quite a few people that had. So like at least we had some direction. But I just remember being told like, you're in charge of lighting, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, you go work with so and so, and I was like, oh, okay, what does that mean? Oh, I get it now. You get to climb up in the very tippy top upside down in this thing, hang upside down like a monkey on the monkey bars, and hang all these dangly lights as they lift this thing 50 feet in the air. Yeah, good stuff. It was hot, in case we forgot to mention that. And then our only source of not being hot was jumping in this lake at this trailer park and just laying on this floating dock in the middle of the day. I remember that. That's funny. And then figuring out how to break through different barriers with different people. Like I said, quite a few people didn't speak English, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to help. And then not only did we have to help put up the tent, but we also had to create all the accommodations for the horses. I mean, we were pounding T-posts into the ground to put up a small paddock area for them. We had to build a shelter and take that up and down 100 times. And thank God Veronica finally broke down and we went and got a generator so we could have air conditioning.
This was a really funny story, and I know the Rosales family does not care, but we were very desperate for some AC, and they had their generator in the back of their truck, but not parked near their trailer where they could hear the generator. It was parked in front of our trailer. So they're running their AC And then we plugged our trailer into their generator in the middle of the night because we were dying. He unplugged us and drove it across the yard. However, we wanted to ask them. It was the middle of the night. We were friends with them. Jorge thought it was hilarious, but he was like, and I totally, he said that he totally would leave us running. However, it was killing their power. So then we had to go out and buy. Life on the road that year was a lot of unexpected costs. So that's the thing. I mean, a lot of listeners probably wondering how it's going will wonder what it was like what to expect. And I think the answer is expected. Specifically 2019, because I had other years that were not difficult. But in 2019, I dealt with purchasing new things like a new trailer, big expense. I dealt with
Ring curb.
the ring curve, sick horse, not getting paid at a gig, cracked transmission on I-70 out in Colorado. That was fun. Um, lost dates on our tour. That was out of our control. Yeah, that was like the big setbacks, I guess you can say.
And then trying to add extra dates in cities that we were not contracted to go to, and they were very scary places that we were not going to go to.
Um, so tell everyone what the daily, so on a show day, what did the daily routine consist of? Because that's, even last year when I worked at the dinner theater, Dancing Horses, that's the biggest thing that if you're considering performing or going on the road or even performing stationary, it's something to consider because the day is long. So, Lindsay, what was your day like on a show day?
Well, we woke up earlier than anybody else on the lot because we had to take care of all the horses and clean their paddock and feed everybody and water everybody. And then we had to find places to dump poop, which was normally in a dumpster, which required like multiples of us to lift wheelbarrows and stuff up into a dumpster, which was also very fun. Maybe Veronica will provide you with a fun picture we have of one of those dumpsters. And that was just the start of our day. And then we had to groom all of the horses, make sure, it was a little difficult. One of the horses, Scout, is gray, white, and so he would enjoy a nice poop roll. And so he needed a bath a lot. And we didn't always have convenient places for doing things like that. And then we had to get ourselves ready. Showers, which typically meant walking to whatever showering facility was provided or using the shower in Veronica's trailer, which had, 4 girls living in one trailer and sharing one bathroom, which if you've ever lived in a dorm, can be tricky. And then, we had to do hair, we had to do makeup, we had to tack the horses up. 3 out of the 4 of us were in opening. Veronica had to stay backstage and hold the horses because then sometimes I think we opened the show too. So 3 of us had to be in the whole dancing kit and caboodle, ribbon swirling, twirling situation to get the show rolling. And often we did that 3 to 4 times a day, 4 to 5 days a week. So it made for long days, and the tent is not air conditioned, so it was the summer for a lot of it. It's summer and it was very hot. We had to keep the side walls of the tent rolled up and just for airflow. Hope to God that the baby mule, Mr. Pickles, was ready to participate that day, which wound up not lasting most of the tour. Although he's much better now. Much better now. He's like perfect little baby angel from heaven. But I remember getting like mauled by him backstage, waiting for me to have to go, like hand him to you, and they would open the curtain, and God only knows what was going on when they opened the curtain. One time he was like on my back, doing like a handstand. mauling me for cookies.
It was, um, a lot of places we performed at, we had six-pack weekends, which means we had three shows Saturday and three shows Sunday. But they were a good hour and a half shows. So sometimes it would just be half an hour to turn around and start it again.
Touch up hair, touch up makeup, regroom horses, retack horses. I think
so we're
sorry.
said we headline the show, so we're trick riding at like 9 p.m. At the end of the day, pretty much.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of every performance was finale because we were the last act, but then we still had to be back in the tent for finale. And I just remember full on sprinting out of the tent after every show with the horses in hand, ripping tack off of them, throwing them in their paddock, like one person holding the gate, everybody holding a horse, throwing the horses in the gate, sprinting back in just in time to run right back through the curtain and slide down that table between your legs.
I do remember the one time it was like our turn, and we just literally ran into the tent straight onto the slide table.
I think that was the time that I like bashed both of my thighs like full sprint into the slide table and had like huge bruises for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I have a picture of those bruises too if we need those.
We did get to go to some pretty awesome places. So part of the tour that we did, this was not part of the tour we signed up for, but we started our season in Vegas, which is funny because we drove out the week before, hit up Bourbon Street in New Orleans on a Monday, and then did our
So much fun.
but it was like empty because it was a Monday. Did our
So
one
fun.
Vegas, and then hit up the strip the next Monday. It was like Mondays are for the girls. And probably did San Francisco on a Monday. If you're familiar with circus or performing or theater, even Broadway, like dark days are Mondays. So if you have a day off, which we don't have a day off, we'd have to switch off someone staying on the lot, watching the horses, and then other people could leave. And then I remember when we went to San Francisco, it was like two people staying on the lot, and then the other people got to go, and then the following week we switched. So we never really could do things as a big group because
No.
these horses were though for California near San Francisco, they were in a paddock that we made out of electric fencing in Redwood City Park. So it was important that we didn't leave them completely unattended.
Yeah, because there was people everywhere.
We went down to Escondido near San Diego. We went up. We were outside of Denver. We went
We were in Napa, weren't we? We were in Napa at one point, yeah.
Napa for one weekend. So that was the hard part because we did Escondido for a weekend. Then following weekend, Napa for a weekend, and then we went to Redwood City immediately after that, and we're set up for 4 weeks. So it was a lot of up and down with the tent. And so by the time we hit that 1 month gig, we were so tired of setting up this circus tent and taking it down and setting it up. But then we were about to start like a 1 month gig. So it was a lot.
The good thing about the 1 month gig in Redwood City was that the park provided us helpers, employees of the park or the city or whatever, which was great. We actually made some really wonderful friends.
Shout out to Rusty and Cameron.
Rusty Bones.
Yeah, that was I really enjoyed California.
Yeah. But how about the gig in Chicago or outside of Chicago, where we were literally on our way from Indiana to Illinois, and the mayor of the town, I think it was, said that they didn't want any of the animal performances there for that festival. And Veronica just had to like, okay, I guess I'm going to go find somewhere to keep my horses. But the owner of the circus said, yeah, but the other three of you still need to work. And we had nowhere to sleep, nowhere to bathe, nowhere to shower.
You had a tent, right? You
Yeah,
bought
yes, we had the circus tent, which was on pavement, asphalt, in a parking lot.
a tent on Marketplace or Craigslist or something?
Oh yeah. I like bought a Craigslist tent for like $10 and slept, and the girls slept in the back of the box truck on gym mats, and we were eating cold spaghettios straight out of the can. I think that was something else. But yeah,
It's
that was
roughing it. Like, this can be so glamorous. One time I did a gig at the South Point Casino in Vegas, and in the Lindsay was not there for this one, in the hotel, and the horses were in the hotel, and the performance was in the hotel slash casino. They had a big like rodeo arena, and I didn't see the sun for like 3 days. I never had to leave, and then there are other where it's just straight up roughing it.
yeah. I mean, it was when she says expect the unexpected, that is 100%. And then I had to drive. Remember they
So
asked me to drive one of the box trucks, this huge picture like a U-Haul, so no windows, you can't see behind you, you can't see around you, nothing. With the triple axle bumper pull trailer behind me, which you also couldn't see because the box truck was wider than the trailer. And I drove that, I don't know, half from Indiana to Illinois in the pouring sideways rain. And the awning like ripped off the side of that camper, whoever's camper that was. And oh my God. And it was hard to communicate with everybody because the semi truck drivers could only drive so long before they legally had to like pull over and rest. And so we'd be like, oh, we're at a truck stop. What are we doing here? And I would just get out and look around and be like, any, okay, I guess it's nap time. Like it was definitely one for the record books.
a lot of people ask we got place to place. Now, I met Lindsay all because of Horse Motel. Because a girl that I worked with used horsemotel.com to stop at Lindsay's place. And so that is how I use that is how I got from place to place. I started with a show that would keep horses on the trailer overnight, and after starting that way, it really wasn't my style. So I would just leave early, and we would be driving, and we'd kind of figure out, with Lindsay in my passenger seat, I'd tell her, okay, look at the map. Let's look at like what's in the middle of Kansas, Nebraska. I know that we've stopped in Nebraska. I know that we at the grounds. I know that we stopped in
Texas.
did we stop in Texas?
Texas was the worst. The construction at night on the, oh my God.
We stopped a lot of places. Arizona was the place that we stopped with that was off grid.
Oh,
Remember
I
that?
remember that. That was cool. That was a really cool place.
4 miles off grid off this like highway, and then on the way back they wanted us to stop by again, and I would like to plug my trailer in. We would start driving, and I would just tell Lindsay, look at the map, and she would on horsemotel.com. You can search state by state, look at the map, see what they charge. I would generally look for a pasture or a paddock so the horses could stretch their legs instead of going into stalls, and then we'd start calling. And then sure enough, it's always kind of a last minute thing, and we'd book a place, tell them when our arrival time was, arrive, plug in the trailer, clean out the trailer, of course let the horses out first, and then we'd sleep and load up and continue going the next day. And we didn't really plan it in advance. You can't. If we ended up on the side of the road for some reason, couldn't have
We
booked
did wind up on the side of the road for some reason.
a reason.
uh, remember in Colorado, and the truck broke down, and the tow truck came and got the truck and got the trailer, and we're all in this giant, really cool tow truck, and then we get stopped at this tunnel that goes through a mountain because
I
a box truck full of boxes caught on fire in the tunnel.
Yeah, Lindsay, I will never forget that. What do you mean, do I remember?
3 hours, I think we sat in that tow truck with that guy just waiting to get through the tunnel. That was bad. That was really bad. And didn't he wind up picking up the driver of that box truck and taking him with us? Yes. So then we had a stinky guy in the car in the tow truck with us.
Did smell like a potentially dead person.
And then somebody from where we were heading saved the day. And he came and picked up the trailer in the dark on the side of the highway because the tow truck driver could only take us so far. And that was on the way to Fort Collins.
And then drove us to our next gig at Estes Park where we did a half-hour show and you
Oh, that
played
was so much fun.
MC Dolphin Trainer. He was the MC for a half-hour show. My favorite
Yeah.
was and when Emily did her archery and you said, "This is Mongolian bow." And something about the history of Mongolia. Personally, I like their barbecue.
But the best part of that entire show was they put us in because the heavy armor jousting got canceled because they didn't have enough contestants. And we're in this huge amphitheater. I mean, when you say like 1,000 people,
Yeah.
some close to it, and they like we're in our little like girly froofy tight costumes, and I come running out in the middle of this big arena, and 1,000 people start screaming, and I just go, "Are you ready for some heavy metal jousting?" And everyone's screaming and stomping their feet, and then I just gave them a big, well, too bad. And the whole crowd just goes silent and sits down.
Change it in the schedule. So it was the Highland Festival, and at our showtime it said heavy metal jousting. So of course the grandstand arena filled up, and it was 4 girls trick riding. That was
People were leaving. People were literally like leaving. They were like, "No."
it though. The people who stayed loved it.
They did. They really, really did. That was a very, very fun show because we had that whole arena to like run and play. And oh, and then we got to do the competition where we drug the guys behind us.
Yes. Okay. So at the Highland Festival in 2019, it was part of our contract that we did horse boarding. So we provided 2 horses, so the big boys, Fez and Remy, for an hour. I rode Remy, Lindsay rode Fez, and my friends did it the year before, and they said, "You're mostly walking." So horse boarding is an like a dirt, off-road skateboard, and it has like feet straps. And this was not a sport yet seen in the USA other than at this particular Highland Festival, and it was the second year they did it. But it's very competitive out in the UK and primarily Scotland. So then I'm like, okay, we can dally for an hour. It's not a big deal. It ended up being a huge deal, and people were very competitive, and people were lining up behind me just because Remy was like a little bit faster than Fez. Like they were very competitive down to the minute, and we were hauling butt through the arena. Everyone's in the dirt, taking this turn, wiping out. It was it was a lot of fun, actually.
Well, the rules, the people that were in charge of putting it on, they said, do not stop unless the person you're pulling specifically tells you to stop. And I remember this one guy coming off of his board, dragging behind me with this toe strap, eating dirt, full gallop, just. But he never said stop, so he just kept going.
Yeah.
I think he ran. I think he slid into the wall at the end. It was fun.
And then
Well, there's money on the line.
so the show that we did was not part of our tour. We often had some dates in tour back to back, like in the circus tent, and then sometimes we'd have like 3 weeks off. So of course we have something to do, some other gigs to do, and this was one of them. And another thing that we did in the middle of tour was a Renaissance festival
So
in
much fun.
Santa Fe. Shout out to Order of Epona. I miss them dearly. And they're actually this weekend at the Estes Park again.
Yeah.
I went last year, not with my horses, just me. I missed them and I had so much fun, and they're out there this year. But after doing Estes with them in Colorado, we went down to Santa Fe, New Mexico, and did a Renaissance fair. And
Let's talk about off the grid.
this was in a pueblo in Santa Fe, and the bathroom was disgusting and like on the other side of the fairgrounds. I mean, we had to go across a field, up a giant hill, across like the vendor to just get like, a terrible bathroom.
You couldn't even use them. We couldn't use the bathrooms.
There was like old standing water in it.
Ugh.
However, it was a beautiful venue, but we were just like going to the bathroom outside, and then Lindsay and I bathed in a freezing cold creek.
Like that was running off the Colorado River and it was so cold.
My hair going like down the drain. I was like, I feel like I'm in a Garnier Fruitiques commercial because we were in the forest, but it was freezing cold. And I think that's the only time we did it. We're like, fine, we're just gonna baby wipe it for the rest of the weekend.
I slept in a big army tent with the rest of the troop,
And that was
with
awesome.
all the guys, and those, what are those thorn things?
Heads.
Oh my god, and they could get you through the canvas of the tent floor. Holy cow, they're like little devil thorns that, oh my god, it was horrible. I just remember like getting out of bed with getting off my cot with my shoes off and just uh, that was a lot. But that was really fun. Mostly because I got to be the princess. That was really fun though.
Yeah, that was. I lo and behold, it is fun to be on the road, but if you need like everything we own packed into this trailer. So one trailer with a shelter, all the electric fencing, all the horses' grain, as much hay as we could into my truck bed. And then we often found hay just at feed stores on the road. Some gigs provided hay, some did not. I was often going on Marketplace, Craigslist, but we always made it work. Those horses are very fat, never without food. Very fat. And four girls, two dogs in this trailer. This right now. I was in my bed. Lindsay was in the dinette that turned into a bed. Ariana was on the futon, and then Emily was on a cot in the middle of the like the refrigerator opened in her face. Oh, excuse me.
Until Ariana finally had enough and she was like, "That's it. I'm sleeping in my tent." And then Emily got the couch.
Gosh, yeah, Ariana put up a tent, and the circus owner was like, "That's fine, but try not to be seen. Like, I don't want to give that image of just like, people in a tent on the lot."
And then she got a little pop-up camp, remember?
Yeah, and then she continued doing aerial with her sister, so it all worked out. Oh, that was fun. What a time to be alive. Do you remember when we were practicing at so before tour even started, I stayed at Lindsay's for what, 3 months, and we were going to the gym every day and getting all ready for tour,
And
and
adult gymnastics
went to adult gymnastics every week.
twice a week.
That was twice a week.
Yes, ma'am.
Gym every day, adult gymnastics twice a week, and getting all strong and ready to go. I remember our rehearsal that I videotaped, and like one of the girls got stuck in her trick. We didn't have bootstraps, so our boots were falling down to our ankles. I wouldn't notice until we watched the video afterwards. Like costume malfunctions. Oh, that was so silly.
Um, I was just thinking about having to build the arena footing. Like we were in charge of building the footing for the horses everywhere we went.
Yeah, so she's from Florida, from Illinois, from the Midwest, where it's like dirt, and it's fine to run the horses on grass because after you set the tent up, you get in there, you bring them in the tent, you lunge them, you warm them up, they dig up a track, and it's fine. But we were heading out west, so Colorado, the ground is like dirt. So in order to set up our electric fencing, we had to take tent stakes, take them down. And let me tell you that this show, we put up all these tent stakes by hand. There was no, what's the machine that would normally do it? No, it was
Uh,
like tink
Sledgehammer City.
on an almost all female cast. Um, yeah, it was great. So we're making holes in the rock with sledgehammer and tent stakes just so we could get our electric fencing in the ground. So we did a show up on a up on a mountain in Colorado. I'm like,
That was in Winter Park, Colorado.
brings a circus on the top of a mountain. I was all our big rigs. I was so stressed
Oh
and
god, that was a stress. But that was beautiful. What a beautiful town, though.
yeah, the ground was, and we tried to dig it up a little bit, whatever, and Scout gets in the ring on the first show and goes doo-doom, doo-doom, foink, and slips onto his side. I was okay, but immediately after that, I was like, we need to do something about this ring. That is where we took a pickaxe by hand, went around the whole track of the ring to tear it up so that the horses had some grip. But which town was it that we got dirt?
It was Winter Park.
That one too? No, I thought. Oh,
We
so
pickaxed it, pulled all the rocks out of it, and then we were shoveling dirt from a construction site nearby.
and Crosby was riding his bike and putting dirt in his backpack and riding his bike back and emptying out his tiny little backpack. And he was
Like like literally like this much dirt, and he was riding his bicycle back and forth with a little tiny backpack full of dirt. He was being as helpful as he could be, but then all the girls were like shoveling and picking up these like 300-pound buckets full of dirt, and we're just shoveling dirt into the truck beds. But the dirt that we were shoveling was also full of rocks.
bless his heart.
So we spent a whole day shoveling dirt and then spent another half a day picking all the rocks out of it.
Yeah, but we had to do what we had to do in order for it to be safe enough to run the act.
And like, and it's not like, oh, there's this whole circus full of people and all these different acts and all these different people there to help. Nobody. It was made very, very clear to us that it is nobody else's job but your own. If you need special footing for the horses, and like only like a couple of people ever volunteered to like help us. I think like Jonathan and his brother probably helped a little bit or something. But I
Yeah.
remember I got there before you got there, and I had to sleep in the box truck, and it was cold. Remember? Because I flew in, and then you were a day late, and I had to sleep in the box truck overnight. And Jonathan felt so bad for me. He like comes out with like all I had was a shipping blanket for like for furniture when you move furniture, and I'm like wrapped in the shipping blanket with my dog in a box truck, just like, and he comes and gives me like this old sleeping bag, and he's like, "Here, I feel bad."
Also,
I
but
didn't sleep.
Jonathan is a 16-year-old boy. Bless his heart. Great performer.
He's doing big things now.
Good. The show was good though. The show, we had there were strong acts. Yeah. Yeah. What a experience. My favorite story from that show. No, couple favorites. One was when my someone was trying to steal my generator in a chip lot, and then 13 of us from ages like 13 to like 50 came out from the circus lot to try to, you know, en- encircle this man who's trying to steal my generator. And it chased him down the street. It was like an episode of Cops, and the cops came and tackled him, and I got to ride in a cop car. And then the Redwood City Police gave all of us stickers that said Redwood.
Junior deputy stickers.
And the,
And remember they recognized one of the guys from the year before. They were like, "Hey, don't we know you?"
yeah.
Whoops.
Yes, yes. And then my
No
other
name.
favorite moment was there were platforms on the king poles. There's 4 king poles on the circus tent, and the ring is right inside the 4 king poles, and that's where the cupola gets lifted up. And they forgot to take the platforms off. It was nighttime. We were like taking the circus tent down all day into the night. They start to lower the cupola, and they're like, "Oh no, the platforms are in the way." They bring it back up, and our boss was sitting on the platform like 30 feet up in the air, hitting the one peg, holding the king pole that he and I'm just like, get your camera ready, start.
Like the platform she's talking about was like this big. Okay, it was for like the girls in the opening. They would climb up a ladder and then they would like zip line down off, but it was only enough space for like 2 little tiny human feet to rest on. And he's sitting on it, straddling the king pole, pounding the peg that holds this little tiny platform to this pole. And we're all just like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Like, you can't just poop up.
I forgot about that. I completely forgot about that. That was funny.
Was helping these guys put up a building yesterday, and I just told that story yesterday because it reminded me of that. Oh my good times.
Yeah, it was awesome. I no regrets at all. I That was seriously the time of my life.
I have regrets too. I had a lot of financial issues after that I did eventually work my butt off and recover from.
Your
But
poor truck, man. Your poor truck took a beating that year.
yeah, she did.
Yes, she did.
She's okay now
But
though.
Lizzo recovered.
I don't call her Lizzo anymore because Lizzo's canceled.
That's because she's mean to her staff.
Yeah. And like there was
Well,
allegations recently, so I'm like, oh no, we can't call the truck. I think it's back to Shamu. I don't know. She doesn't have a name.
oh, we neglected to mention that we weren't originally supposed to be the tent crew. There was a tent crew, but they bailed after the very first stop.
They got fired after the first stop.
Well, I kind of think they quit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how about the guy? Where were we? That one of the Craigslist night worker guys wound up just like hopping in one of the trucks and went on the road with us to the next spot and then disappeared.
In Chicago and then disappeared in
Disappeared in Wheat Ridge.
Denver. Yeah.
Disappeared in Wheat Ridge. That was very weird. And then he was like, "Where's my bike?" And I was like, "Who are you?" Remember you went on all the carnival rides that night because we were at a fair?
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just standing there staring at all the lights, and I was like, "Nah, I'm good." You're like, "Come on, Lindsay." And I was like, "No."
Uh,
Absolutely not. We are in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. I'm not getting on a fair ride. You've lost your mind.
I liked Wheat Ridge. That was fun because they had the fireworks in the park, and it's not fun for horse owners. So everyone's like, "Wee fireworks!" and we're like, "Everybody, stand in the corner of the pasture and just scream, whoa!"
But they were good. They were watching them. The horses were good for the fireworks. That was impressive.
They were. Scout had earplugs, so he was just like, He was like lighting up different colors. Like,
Yeah, I don't think we told everybody that Scout had to wear earplugs for the performances, his ear poofs.
one
He
day,
was an audio guy for sure.
I had ear poofs in his ears, but they weren't the nicer brand, and he about freaked out and backed up into the contortion table. Yeah. It,
Eh,
but that's a whole nother conversation we can have about performing, like with animals who cannot understand the game plan. You cannot tell them like it's okay, buddy, only 2 shows left, and then you'll have 3 weeks off. Like you can't tell them that. Remy in our bridalist straps act towards the end had to have a bridle back on. I just didn't trust it. To play that he's getting burnt out
and Pickles with the giant Amazon purchased doll strapped to his back, and he couldn't come off the lunge line because he wanted to jump over the ring curb into the audience.
yeah. Well, we didn't know, but he was a baby because
He was
remember
a toddler.
5 and he was like 1.
Yeah, he was a baby. That was unbelievable. So all things considered, that he was like essentially not even like a year old yet, I think he did pretty good. But
I mean, the tour actually went well. Like it was difficult, but the I wouldn't say maybe the tour. I'd say the acts went well. Nobody
yeah,
appeared. We did a lot of shows.
we did. Oh, and another one of those fun things, if you do go on tour with a bunch of people in a camper, you better make sure at least one of you is comfortable handling the pee pee poo poo tube.
Yeah.
But we had a no number 2 rule. No number 2s in the camper.
Now I poop in my camper, but I'm hooked up to septic. I'd like to ask you to share with everyone what were some not your maybe your top favorite, but like what were some of your favorite memories, or even when you look back at like being on the road, like what stuck out to you? What were your favorite things? Was it living and sleeping in your I'm sitting in the dinette sleeping in your coffin? Was it wrapping cotton candy around stale popcorn?
Oh
Was
my
it
God, cotton candy popcorn. It was the best. It was my only food source. Gaining 30 pounds on the road, that was pretty cool. I like didn't even fit in my costume by the end of the tour. It was great.
was it walking all the way to the rec center to shower? Was it
I mean, even my dog got tired of eating popcorn. um, I'm. It was really fun, like, because I got to go see a lot of places that I probably would have never gone or never seen, and things like that, and just the constant like change and spontaneity, and having to be like the Mrs. Fix It, and like everything, something would always break, and I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, we can fix this, and but we met so many cool people. I mean, some of which we still talk to some of them occasionally, stuff like that, and meeting a lot of people and seeing a lot of things. Spending the day in downtown San Francisco with the park workers. Another shout out to Randy, Cameron, and Rusty. Randy, yeah, Randy too. Uh, that was really really fun, and I think just getting the opportunities. I mean, like, where else would you get the opportunity to like go to some random Scottish festival and be the dolphin trainer, and um and oh, being the princess of the Ren Fair. I mean, come on, that was cool. I just got to ride the big baby horse who was like super green and spooked every time the speakers made a crackling sound, um and like me, and I loved Fort Collins. Like when you were gone, remember you had to leave for like some job interviews or something, and you left me in Fort Collins. That was the first time I was alone since the tour had started. And remember, I would like there was one Uber in that entire town, he was the only Uber and Lyft drivers. This is one guy. And I would Uber into little downtown Fort Collins to a little coffee shop, and then I'd be like, "Can you come back in 3 hours and get me?" So I think my favorite part was when we got to do like excursions off the side, but I know that's not the point. I love performing. I love dancing around and being a dummy, and just, it was just fun. And then like once I realized that like it really wasn't that big of a deal, like we didn't have to be like perfect. We just had to be safe and, you know, do our thing and, you know, don't get hurt. And but like, okay, how straight my eyeliner was really didn't matter. Like, you know, and I think like once we started relaxing into it, and obviously like every time we started relaxing into it, like something else would happen. But like, I don't know. It was really fun to be spontaneous because I'm really bad at that. You know, I'm like the super planner and you're the spontaneous one, which for those of you that don't know, Veronica and I went on a little bit of a vacation this last year. We went over to the UK and Belgium and Amsterdam and France. And she literally said, "I don't have time, you do it." And I had us a step-by-step itinerary, where we were going, where we were staying, what we were seeing, what we were eating. I am that person. And I was like, okay, well, now we're on the road with 4 horses and 4 girls. So where are we staying over tomorrow night? I don't know. You figure it out. Ah!
Yeah.
So Veronica's easier at going with the flow than I am, I think, but I definitely learned how to go with the flow. I think I got better.
Outlet.
I'm just a super planner, because that's like with the horses here. We have over 50 horses at our farm, and you know, everything's a super plan. Can't run out of food, can't run out of hay, going to this show, going to that show. We have shows here. That's another episode, I believe. And so I think I learned a lot about myself, which was really, really cool. And meeting fun people, and just, I mean, we really did have a good time. As much as we complain and we joke about it, like, don't get me wrong, like parts of it sucked. Like I always felt awful whenever like something happened to like one of the horses or to your truck or to the trailer or like whatever, like, because there was, all I could do was like try to help fix things, but like I'm not a mechanic. Remember when you flew a mechanic in to Winter Park, Colorado, and then he got a speeding ticket when he was testing your truck after he fixed it? Listen to this, peoples out there in virtual world. Veronica paid his speeding ticket. She felt so bad that she paid to fly this guy in to fix her diesel truck because there was no diesel mechanics. This guy fixes her truck, takes her truck for a test drive, gets a speeding ticket, and Veronica feels so bad that she pays it. Someone else's speeding ticket. Yeah, no, not this girl. Super planner wouldn't have done that. So you get pulled over for speeding, you know who to call.
Oh, my other question is, would you do it again?
Would I do it again? Yes.
I have an answer. Like, would I have done it again? Yes. Would I do it now? No.
Like, we couldn't do it under the circumstances that we currently have. Like, I don't think, bless you. I may be thinking, Brett just poked his head out when I said, yes, I would do that again. He was like, I think like, maybe if it was a show that like had their own animals, you know what I mean? Because like your animals, they've aged and they're still really good at their job, but they obviously do it at a slower life pace. Like I don't think we would ask Veronica's horses to do what we did. And I only have one horse that would put up with the kind of garbage that her horses put up with on a daily. And he's a halflinger, and I don't know if he would make it through an entire tour.
Yeah. My personal answer is, would I do it again? Would I have? Yes. I wouldn't have changed anything. Although that was there. It was rough. Like Lindsay's right. Like there was some times where it was rough.
We got to show him that picture of you sleeping by the dumpster. We just do.
Okay, I gotta tell the Vegas story really quick because you just can't beat this. So our first gig, 1 day gig out in Vegas for Zappos Shoe Company.
We drove from Tallahassee, Florida to Las Vegas, Nevada. Pull that up on a map. It's a straight line on the other side of the country. Sorry, continue.
Um, and we hired Emily, who had trained with me, and then I ended up taking her on the road. But
Shmem.
Emily, shout out to Shmem.
Shout out to Shmem.
Her parents, because she was a youngin' back then, hauled her from Salt Lake down to Vegas, which isn't too far. Her truck gets stolen out of the casino hotel parking lot. And so all of a sudden, I'm sticking 5 horses in my trailer, which is a 4 horse. And I just remember being like, guys, my truck got stolen. We're like, no, it's just they couldn't find where it's parked, whatever. She's like, no, it got stolen.
She was like so calm about it. She's like, yeah, my truck got stolen. And we were like, what?
They got it back, that's, just to let that. They thought it would be parted out. And because of putting a picture of it on Facebook, someone recognized it and they got it back. But like you can't make this stuff up. And then my truck, the thermostat was like closed, so it was overheating. So after we did the gig, we were just hanging out in the park waiting for it to get cooler so we could just drive on the other side of town. And we were in the Las Vegas horse park, and my trailer was just parked there because my truck went to the shop after that.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Emily's trailer was just parked there. Her truck was in the shop, and we're waiting. We have time to kill. I think we Ubered to some escape rooms, but we were trying to figure out, we're just killing time. So us girls get in our Daisy Dukes, and we in our bikini tops, and we decide to wash the trailer. And I thought I was letting like shower water out, and I let black water out.
She let the pee handle
open on mistake, and then it made a puddle under our trailer, but we had no truck to move it. And it was like girls day drinking and washing the trailer, and the music's playing, and then it was sudden like,
Oh, and it was like 100 degrees, and there's just like pee, like this huge. It's a 40-foot long trailer. We're talking about horse trailer, and the puddle was as wide as the trailer, and there's this puddle under the trailer of pee, and so then we're like dumping shavings on it, trying to soak it up, and spraying water in it, trying to dilute it, and we were like, this was a really poor decision.
For a nap, and was like, you guys are stupid.
He's like, why did you do that? We were like, girl, we were like drunk. It was like 10 in the morning.
You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have shared that story, but you learn.
No, that needed to be shared. So, lessons. Make sure you have at least one person that can handle emptying a black tank, and make sure at least one other person can confirm if they're pulling the correct handle or not. For those of you that aren't familiar with living quarters trailers or RVs, there's a gray tank which holds sink and shower water, and there's a black tank which holds things that go down the toilet. They have 2 different handles to release them into an emptying tank, or typically a gray water you can just let into the grass. And, well, making sure someone can confirm which handle does what is very important. Like Veronica says, you live, you learn.
You cry.
There was a lot of crying.
That was so funny.
The night I called you from Naperville because that one girl like swung at me, and I was like, I can't stay here.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna quit on me. I was like,
you were like, well, if you feel like you really have to go, and I was like, y'all, I'm just gonna leave you in the middle. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have done that. That's bad. That involved one of those Craigslist night worker guys. She didn't even know him, and she was standing up for him, and I was like, what? I didn't even do anything. I was just walking by. Why are you swinging at me? This is insane. Oh, well.
like the things that we ran into, you can't make this stuff up. I know a lot of people live like crazy lives, but most people live pretty, pretty level, not really too crazy, know what to expect. This was not the case. But it was fun. But would I do it now? No. Would I, because my horses are older, I have driven so many miles. I don't want to, I'm done driving. Like literally if I can, when I go home, Minneapolis to Chicago is a 1 hour flight or it's a 6 hour drive. I try to fly. I'm so over driving. I have hauled my trailer for, well, I bought this is a 2019 trailer. In 2019, this trailer went to New York and it was in 2019 alone. I've hauled out to California multiple times. I've hauled out to Vegas multiple times. I've hauled out to New York multiple times. I've hauled back and forth from the Midwest to Florida. I can't even count how many times. And I'm kind of over it. My horses are older. Would I retire them and get new horses to keep going? No. Um, no. But I don't regret anything. But now that the horses are older, there's like a lot more to it that I was not taught, that I had to learn the hard way, and now I understand. Like the show that I started with was not aware, about traveling and horses getting ulcers or, proper health certificates or all the things that
The health certificates in California in the middle of the night. Lindsay, where are the health certificates? And I was like passed out on the back seat and I like threw my phone at you. They're on my phone.
like more about it too, because different podcast, different story. One time, one of my coworkers and I got stuck in Canada for a few weeks trying to pick up a horse that didn't have the proper paperwork, even though we checked with the buyer, we checked with the seller that yeah, he's got the proper paperwork. Drive to 4 different Canadian borders to the point where Canada didn't want us and neither did the United States. Kept sucking in and out of the same hotel room every day, going to check the mail at the vet, be like, did the Coggins come? And then no, check back in. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Life be life in, man.
So moral of the story is do it.
But don't.
But don't. No, I would do it again. I would do it again. I mean, like, hypothetically, I would do it again. I think that my other half over there would probably kill me if I actually did that again.
Props to Brett. He let you go and he ran a farm by himself.
Yeah. 113 acres and 50 horses. Yeah, it's a yeah. But he supported it. He supported it all along the way.
What a guy.
What a guy, Brad.
What a guy, Brad.
Oh, well, that was fun.
Circus dreams. Yeah, Lindsay and I have little matching tattoos of a circus tent. You got in it. Get your hooves out of the screen. Up on my dash, and I'm like, get your hooves. There's mine. You got it in Atlanta, and they did a bad job.
A really bad job.
It is. I like traveling now. I like to do it without the horses and without the vehicles and all that stuff. But
yep, we're gonna go over to Italy or Greece next. It's coming. No horses.
just no horses, just escape rooms.
Yeah, escape rooms. Super planner.
Oh, well, thank you so much. This was fun. I'm gonna have Lindsay back so we can talk about her big, beautiful boarding stable, Mayhem Farm, Tallahassee, Florida. All right. Well, thank you, Lindsay. I'll let you go. and we'll see you back soon.
Bye.